Hi, I'm Matt. This is my first video. I'm excited to do it. I'm starting a wood shop, and I just figured I would document the journey, part for me, part for the sake of learning how to do some video things. I'm a school teacher. I teach music. One of my favorite things to do is to promote my kids and get them going. So I'm going to use this personal journey to help me in supporting my students. Today, the first video is going to be this RIDGID cast iron table saw build. It's my temporary shop, my garage. But once we get past this winter, I'll be able to finish up some things in my basement. There'll be some really cool video opportunities for the wood shop down there, and hopefully I can get my parking spot back. So anyway, check it out. Here's the RIDGID build. Cool. So the purpose of this build video is really just to let anybody out there know that this is very possible. I did this in kind of 3 parts. Mostly just because of the schedule. I didn't have a lot of time in one shoot to dedicate to putting it together. So the afternoon that I started, I basically unpacked it, got it all put together, and that was about it. And I got it loaded up onto its feet, onto its legs, and then I had to go play dad for the rest of the night. And then you'll see there's a couple more sections of footage, but the build itself was very much capable of being done by one person. Real quick, huge shout out to my folks for helping finance this. I owe them one. You know, it's really interesting. You just don't know what to expect. There's videos out there, folks spending like an hour and 20 minutes kind of going through every step, you know, showing you one portion of it, like here's me threading one nut into a side, you know, and then like all 7 or 8 of them are done, yet it still takes an hour and 25 minutes to make the video, you know, start to finish with a lot of explanation. I realized that there was probably a resource that most people could have where that's not happened. So manual states to put down a couple pieces of wood. If I would do this again, I would probably do this the same way. I did need a hand at one point, and I'll explain it when we get there, just to get it so I could get my hands underneath the iron table on the side. But to get the box open, you know, I just ripped it down the sides and pulled it out, used that pallet there. But screwing everything in, it all made sense. It was all very logical. The book was very straightforward. When we get toward the end, when we start talking about the rails, there are I'd say that the manual is a little oversimplistic. It does not lend itself to the reality that is, you know, a fence is a very precise instrument, and all of the adjustments are made using, you know, heavy-duty bolts and metal. And you know, you see people like Mark Spagnolo set up his Powermatic and using like straight edge, flat edges, and he does fine woodworking. And I think, obviously, if I think a table like this is capable of being tuned to be very, very close, but I can tell you just by setting the straight edge or setting a construction or carpenter square on the table, this is not, you know, laser precise as some of the higher end tables, but I can tell you that it's, I've done a couple cuts with it already. I'm very, very pleased with it, especially for the price. So this is my entry level. I don't have a lot of tools. I've got 2 children, and I want to build them some things for the house, some furniture. We just moved into this home, and so there's a lot of, you know, improvement that needs to be made. And I also want to start building more substantial speakers. I've built smaller ones, but now I want to begin to get into the big time. This is where I needed a little bit of help. I just picked up the table and slid those 2x4s underneath it, and then my wife just kind of watched me as I propped it up. That is against what it says to do in the manual. I'm not a super strong person, but I lifted with my legs and it worked out just fine. One mistake I did make, and you'll see me here kind of working on the wheels again. About these wheels, they're 3 now instead of 4 like the box even shows. But the 3 wheels actually works really nicely. Instead of having the pedal underneath the front where you would operate the saw, and it might get in your way if your foot, if you want to set that there, it's actually on the side now, on the plate as we see it to the left. And it's actually fine. The 3 wheels work great. But a mistake I made when I was assembling the wheels is that I just had them, there's like a piece that crosses 2 axles, and I just happen to have it upside down. So the rail assembly is all very straightforward. The back rail, the rear rail isn't super clear. in the manual about which side goes to which, so I made a mistake. I had to actually take out, I stripped one of the set screws with the hex wrenches that they gave me. So I started to use my own, and it worked out fine. They're actually a little higher quality than what shipped with the table. But I got it here that first night, and then I kind of had to close shop and get back to it a couple nights later. It took about, I'd say, a total of 4 hours start to finish, and that includes all of the reading the instructions. I didn't read prior to the build. I didn't watch any videos. I went back afterward to make sure like a couple of the issues that I ran across weren't unique. You'll see working the fence here at the end of the first night, I noticed it was really catching a whole bunch. So my primary focus in this next night was to really get in and fine-tune this. I used that square to just kind of get it right. I wanted to get that initial placement there, but the fence itself needed to be adjusted a bit, and later on I move it over even a scotch more. It's really you have to be really careful about that because of where, you know, when you have the fence on the left side of the blade versus the right side of the blade, you want to make sure it's wherever you have that front fence, it's able to be zeroed out. And if I can make another couple small videos that aren't, you know, an hour and 10 minutes long, or this one's 7.5, I can illustrate a couple of those, you know, quirky things about the fence and rail system while it's being set up. But yeah, a couple times I used the power of a clamp to just hold things while I screwed them because I didn't have an extra pair of hands. And that end spreader bar was strange in assembly too, where you have the hex bolts. You can't really get in the end cap screw, so that on the side to the right, it's difficult. On the side on the left, you can't even get that second screw in because of the metal plate. So I think I don't know if that's a design flaw or if I have my fence like 1.5 inches too far over. I'm guessing I'm right. But yeah, once I got this thing going, it cut like butter. This is a birch butcher block. I stopped it because I wanted to make sure the fence was good, and it was. And so is the table. Thanks so much for listening.